Another day, another game, and we currently find ourselves on Azeroth. So US West is where we're actually going to cast this game, and we have a Che, aka ReseT, currently starting up on the top right here of Echo Isles, going up against an Undead player with a very distinct name, Need to Poop Right Now. So we call him here the Big Pooper. Because I actually tried to look him up earlier, and I assumed that that was a Smurf account, and the guy probably just simply renamed himself here. But so for our purpose, that game is still going on. Can't really give you too many details about him. It was a bit of a fun game, so I thought we might just cast it. I caught some of it on stream and ask for the replay later. Che currently level 36 on Azeroth. Nightelf player with 385 wins, 131 losses. So gives him roughly 75% of win rate. 50 minutes can I pause? I need to get something. Given the name, I would assume that he needs to go to the bathroom. But yeah, immediate banned out. Finished it before that. Alright, fair enough. Okay, so we're going to see how that turns out. But already a lot of confidence coming in here from the Nightelf player. Ancient of War being built outside of the base here, so pretty standard opening. Would still expect, yep, Keeper being used here too. Now we are on the current patch. Keeper has been a bit nerfed, but then again, as we already talked about earlier, some players are starting to go more into Demon Hunter. Thanks, bro. 20 seconds, no more. Should call himself the Big Poop as the Fast Pooper, to be honest. But yeah. Alright, so either way, my mom's being shitty right now. Yeah, so he's a little bit of a talker. It's one of those guys that like sits in the bathroom and keeps talking the entire time through all of it. That's at least what it looks like right now. A very communicative person that we have here. One way or another, not too much going on just yet, but you can see the Fiend opening already with the graveyard that we're having from him. Keeper against him, and now only just the question, how's it going to play it? I mean, you have a couple of options. You can either try and creep at the start of the game, or you can immediately attempt and interrupt the creep pattern of your opponent. Looks like our Undead in this game, at least for now. It's actually, I was just about to say, it looks like he's going to start creeping at least one of the smaller spots, but far from it. Starts to cross the map here, and is already going to be scouted out by one of the Wisps here. Walks straight past it, splits the skeletons. It's another thing that you really want to do when you're an Undead player and you play a lot with a lot of Necromancy. Whenever you're attacking a Night Elf, you are trying to just split skeletons so that a Wisp detonate doesn't dispel both. So that would be a lot of free XP for the Undead, so you're trying to avoid, for the Night Elves, so you're trying to avoid that. But right now, the idea is just simply to keep Che a little bit low, make sure that he doesn't hit level 2 too soon, and try and harass his Wisps. One down already. Good kill by him. Splitting immediately on those skeletons, and yep, a mass Wisp evacuation already going on in that base. But yeah, there comes the coil, but the Moonwells, of course, healing that up immediately. It's still a lot of lost mining time, or like, yeah, wood farming time here for him. Never really understood how that worked out, by the way, with just hugging trees and then getting wood. It seems like a little bit odd, but then again, it's a race of tree huggers, so they have some special synergy there, I would assume. If you have a lot of moss in your beard on the hero, then that just figures, I guess. Okay, level 2 already, and that means Entangle. So the Entangle duration has, of course, been decreased a bit in the current patch. So basically on every single level of Entangle, you lost a second. On the heroes, that reduced it quite significantly, since, of course, heroes in general already are immune by 25% in terms of duration and damage. That's why a coil on level 1, for example, on a unit will always deal 100 damage, but against the hero it does only 75. Pretty important to note when you are up against an Undead player and you're trying to save your heroes, so keep that in mind. But in the main base of the Undead, we're having an attack into tier 2 pretty quickly, starting with Fiends here as well. Could also start pretty soon with the second Fiend coming out to creep some of these smaller spots while still harassing. And we're having, again, the attempt to just simply go straight for the Wisps here. Now, it is night, so those Moonwells are regenerating, and that allows the Wisps to easily get that mana back. Gets another coil and another Wisp here, but already wasted a fair share, to be quite honest with you, to try and get Wisps down that he couldn't drop. But still, got something. 2 Wisps in total, 50 XP now on him. Still trailing behind when it comes to experience, but definitely keeping ReseT here on his toes, so that's pretty important. He's just trying to annoy him as much as he can, forces him to micro in his main base as well, so that he doesn't lose too many Wisps, too many workers, and have to rebuild them. Keep in mind, it's not only about the lack of wood that you get, but at the same time, it's also 60 golds that you lose every single time one of those Wisps go down. So he's taking the initiative. That's what the Undead is basically doing. But now he really has to start and back off, and ReseT is adding his first hunters into the game. We have a few archers in the back. Keeper now starting to be a bit more aggressive on his own. So the tables are turning here right now. But we're having also the Poop Master, straight with his own experience for himself, has another rod already bought, and I mean the whole game is here to just make sure that you are getting, I should take the tomb here, that you are trying to make sure you're getting level 2. Has to actually TP out of this, alright. Tries to at least get the creep, doesn't get that, but yeah, pretty early town portal. That creep check hit him hard, and he just realized, well, if I'm not paying attention right now, I'm going to lose my fiend, so I'm TP out. Might lose the fiend regardless, and that's a problem. And yep, fiend goes down. So he uses the town portal and the fiend. Good Nova onto the keeper would actually be good. Yep, and there we have it. Has the mana, and okay, coils his own fiend, tries to save it, but yeah, another one lost. Town portal used on the opponent's side now as well, so ReseT had to move out of this one too. Slaughterhouse already built, and the immediate Lich. Now, a lot of Undead players that you see, they're going to play this a little bit differently. We're having a lot that even get the Lich after the tech into the Black Citadel. So you will see a lot of Undeads that simply head into Necropolis and straight into the Black Citadel tech while they're adding the Lich and the Slaughterhouses, so that also, when they get the Lich, they can more or less immediately rely onto the Orb of Corruption, which is just an absolute must-have. Fun. Now, the interesting parts, while we're still seeing creeping happening on both sides, to me personally, is that we actually saw an Acolyte being built now too. So that already indicates that we're going to see an early expansion on the side of the Undead player here. In the inventory, gets a Talisman of Evasion. Not too shabby. I mean, can actually be really good for you if your opponent plays a lot around Entangle and ranged units. If not, then it's just gold, but oftentimes you will still see a very heavy focus on Undead units with that. But yeah, he sells it here, doesn't really rely heavily on it. It's definitely not one of the best items that you can get, but if you are worried about heavy focus fire from your opponent, then it is something you can choose to go for. So, besides that, Claws of Attack +6. Now, traditionally you would see them on the Keeper with the Alchemist. If you go into Chemical Rage as one of the abilities, it can still be pretty useful on the Alchemist too. Level 3 now for the Keeper, and that Tree of Life, of course, is going to be brought into play very, very soon here for ReseT. And we have, as expected, now also the base attempt here down by the Undead player. And a 1-base Undead can already be a huge problem. If you have a 2-base Undead against you, then you know you're in trouble. Because that just gives no incentive to the Undead anymore to stay onto the no supply cap and stay at 50 supply. But you can immediately cross over into low supply and really meet any opponent very aggressively. Tomb of Experience even for him. Hitting the jackpot here down at the spot. So Death Knight on level 3. Great for him. Still, ReseT slightly ahead in experience. But all in all, a pretty good position for the Poop Master here, considering how the game started out for him. Didn't really get too much done with that early harass against the Wisps, and then, of course, had to use the Town Portal, lost 2 Fiends, was a bit behind in experience on his heroes. That is more or less mitigated right now. Double Ziggurat on the way. In the main base, still no tech to tier 3. This is, of course, the one thing that he gives up. So he's going to have late access to Abominations, he's going to have a very late Orb, late 3rd hero if he decides to go for that, but he has the more stable economy that can keep up with his opponent. And talking about ReseT, we already have him here with an Augur Mauler, and he also adds a few more. The Hunter's actually surviving here, the Fiends under even more pressure. Hunt should fall any second right now, but it gets not focused. Attention of the Undead player more on the Alchemist that he's trying to drop here. Heavy fire on him. And that's really where not having an Orb of Corruption is a bit of a problem. The Alchemist with Chemical Rage moving out as we speak. Another coil would save the Fiend for the time being, but the Alchemist can't really continue in that particular battle anymore. Lich does have mana for another Nova, could use that, especially since we're having a few more of those Forest Troll Shadow Priests here in the back, and even more access to Mercenaries. In the middle of the fight, ReseT getting even more, trying to make sure that he's gonna win this one handily. Dryads are joining the fun now too. The Poop Master also with Mercenaries on his own here. And towards the right side, Tree in play. Down here, only 2 Acolytes mining. Was actually only the Undead player that got some of the Mercenaries here. My bad. Back, Beast back. I mean, he's not wrong. Definitely the 2 Forest Troll Shadow Priests helped out here, considering that he could use the Dispel. I mean, we don't have a Beastmaster on the other side, but still, yeah, chasing away the Nightelf. Again, he's a chatty one, isn't he? So, we currently have already another sort of town portal being bought. Gets the replenishment potion here as well. And up to the main base, tech into tier 3 now for the Nightelf. The double Ancient of War plays that we are seeing are starting to also come through. Double Dryad already, more being added. Still no tier 3 tech for the Undead player. And again, it is a bit of an issue. The Orb of Corruption is absolutely crucial for an Undead, and you really want to have that triple hero too. So him teching this late is a problem. And the main reason why he's still not teching is he didn't build enough Acolytes early on, and we don't have a Necropolis down there. So he needed to wait until he had enough Acolytes in the game so he can at least saturate that gold mine and make sure that he gets the income. And now the immediate tech into the Black Citadel right after that's the case. But yeah. The mid camps are now also being taken out, and that means that we're having more experience on the Alchemist, but an attempt to drop the gold mine at the bottom. That might actually force ReseT back before he has a chance to go for the Augurai Magi. Nope, still sticks around here, wants to get the experience and the item, and yep, gets both here. Item actually, one of mana stealing underneath one of the heroes, doesn't even see it at this point. Okay, there we have it, and has of course that claw as well. Yeah, literally the Nova attempt. That didn't quite work out, but yeah, even with the town portal, that gold mine is going to go down. And all of the Wisps are dead too. Lich gets the Nova through. Fiend survives, and was a fantastic attack here from the Undead's perspective. Really well done, because he goes in, he takes all of the Wisps out with the Novas, he's able to drop the gold mine, so there's like a lot less income now on the side of ReseT. Crypt is being built by our Undead player at the same time. Halfway tech into tier 3. Looking over, Tree of Eternity is already done. So it's definitely going to be a bit of a switch in terms of the unit composition for ReseT. But if you look towards his Undead opponent, it's going to become a bit rough. Items, actually bought a Claw here. Claws of Attack +6 at the marketplace. Lich still doesn't have the Orb of Corruption, obviously, since he's not on tier 3 yet. But he's still forced into aggression. And is now also crossing over into the low upkeep. So he's going to get a bit less gold from those gold mines now. The problem really being that ReseT, he hasn't really attacked that base at all just yet. And he's just trying to shop a little bit. Staff of Preservation is going to be absolutely crucial for him in the long run, especially when he starts to invest more and more into tier 3 units, also to keep those heroes alive. But the Undead now has again an attempt to go for the gold mine here. Unlikely to get it, but would be great if he can stop at least mining for a bit longer. Coil Nova immediately on the Alchemist. Chemical Rage being used to move away. One Dryad down, and the Nightelf army is actually tickling in one after another, and that's something that's immediately capitalized on by the Undead. Another attempt to drop the Alchemist, and he's incredibly low. One more Nova, one more Coil, all you need here, but the Staff of Preservation being used. Town Portal had to be activated by the Death Knight, was about to fall, so good defense here, keeping the Augur Mauler alive as well, and now with the Druids of the Claw on master level, he is able to not only get the beer form in, but at the same time also rejuvenation, healing the units up. So it's a little bit of a back and forth here, and definitely an attempt at guerrilla tactics that we're seeing from an Undead player, trying to move in, drop the gold mine, TP out, force a TP on the other side to make it an even trade, and is really just trying to play a strategic game against his opponent. Has obviously now also added the Necropolis that allows him to portal straight towards the expansion, and with a completed tier 3 tech into Black Citadel, we have now the Destroyer upgrade being researched, third hero could come into play soon, and most importantly for another player, Orb of Corruption. The armor reduction alone for any attempt with focus fire through Fiends is insane. And he finds another Claw, so plus 17 attack on the Lich, which is fantastic for him right now. The Death Knight has hit level 4. We're seeing statues with the option to go straight into Destroyers. Even Gargoyle is in play here. And there's the Pitlord. Pitlord as the third hero, and that alone, yeah, that can definitely change the tides of a battle. The problem with the Pitlord is he's just like has a huge hitbox, he's easily blocked, but he has some really cool spells here as well. Especially the Howl of Fear. If you are able to move in and just reduce damage output of your opponent, that's great. If you have him on a higher level with a huge hit point pool and the Death Knight can just keep coiling him, that's fantastic as well. Here on the other hand, come the Scroll Protection being used for the fight. One Gargoyle down, second one falling. Nova on the other hand doing some work as we speak, and again the focus against the Alchemist. Alchemist. No Potion of Lesser Invulnerability for him. One bear down, not using the Staff of Preservation in this case just yet, but the Undead player is using a fair amount of units now too. Has to be careful here. Coil again on the Alchemist. There's the Staff. That's the reason why he doesn't use it. ReseT, trying to make sure that he can keep that Alchemist alive, would rather lose a bear or two, and that's exactly what happens. Destroyer here, of course, with mana now as well, getting the extra damage in, talking extra damage. Lich on 4 with a plus 17 damage output, now has the option to just get those Novas through, working on level 5. Death Knight on level 4 as well, and the continuous attack just happening. Undead on 51 in supply against the 61 that we're seeing for ReseT. The Nightelf player has to be cautious, but again, the Town Portal forced as the Dryad Poison comes through and slows everyone down here. And forcing Town Portal after Town Portal really cuts into the economy of the Undead player. 57 supply for ReseT. A second Staff of Preservation would be great for him too, to just save a few of those bears. He had huge problems keeping those druids alive since he tried to reserve the cooldown on the Staff for the Alchemist, who's continuously a massive focus point for his Undead opponent. Maybe even getting a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability here later on would be great for him. Now keep in mind there is only a single shop on this map, so that means that you have to be really careful who buys the items, who gets the scrolls, who gets the potions, because they will be on cooldown, and that means that if your opponent gets access first and you need it in those fights, you might be in trouble. Massive amount of wood, by the way, for the Nightelf. 2,100, 65 supply for him, 57 supply for the Undead player. Still looking at a single potion here on the Death Knight, and he needs that Town Portal. He has the income, to be honest with you, and we're still seeing the Mercenary Camp being utilized over and over again, heavily relying on the Forest Troll Berserkers here for the range damage output, trying to get the piercing damage in against the Dryads that are unarmored, obviously, but also the Druids of the Claw. Main base, actually seeing a Boneyard being played here too, a little bit of Wyrm action, Sacrificial Pit already in play. That means we could see a couple of shades here eventually to get the vision on the map. In the meantime, in base of the Nightelf, nothing too crazy happening. More creeping going on here. Item-wise, didn't really... what did he find? Did not complete the creep. Couldn't start it because he saw the Nightelf coming. And now here, Tomb of Relics in production. Level 2 for the Pitlord. And still no third hero for the Nightelf. Very unlikely to see one either. Alchemist on 3 now. Has the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. We talked about this a bit earlier. Having the Alchemist being the focus fire target every single time from the Undead makes it a really good idea to get that potion to just have a bit more survivability on him. And that's exactly what's happening here. 69 supply now for the Undead player. 0 upgrades, by the way. Hasn't invested anything in upgrades, but now we're going to see Frostworms. Gonna get the Frostworms in here. They're one of the most iconic units in WarCraft 3, in my opinion. An absolutely fantastic beast. And then again, on the other side, 66 supply for ReseT. Both of them just dancing around each other at this point. And Chims are gonna come into Chimera Roost being produced here for ReseT, as he is trying to make sure that he has the firepower to take down the Undead as well. Especially, of course, breaking through those structures that we see at the front and through the defenses would be huge. Item-wise, also, top-notch position here for the Nightelf. Has the extra mana for the Keeper, that's fantastic. One of mana stealing can help him a lot as well. But again, it's all about the shop access now. Going to the shop, trying to get a few more items, and let's see what we're gonna have. Scroll of Town Portal, that was a given, but he needs a bit more than that. Wouldn't really be surprised to see him at... oh, actually, he needs to head back and now quickly, because that base gets attacked. But it looks more like he's trying to go for a trade. Trying to buy a little bit more time, go for a trade here, and sacrificing at least one of the crypts. Now, an Undead base is nearly impenetrable. It's so difficult to take them down, with the Black Citadel in particular. But yeah, he's just going for the trade. Town Portal had to be used, and now moving away, utilizing the Unholy Aura. But a little bit of slow coming through, not going to be enough. Can move away from that. Pitlord goes in, Howl of Fear being used against some of those frontliners, but maybe a little bit too far out. And here come the Frostworms going through, and full Game of Thrones style, starting to wreck through the front line here. But again, up at the top, we are currently seeing the Pitlord and the Death Knight at the front. Massive magic damage coming from the Destroyers and the Frostworm. Frostworm needs the coil though. Heavily attacked here by all the Dryads, and this pressure against especially the heavy armored Druids of the Claw is a huge problem now for ReseT. Losing 1, losing 2, trying to pressure his opponent by more entangles. Pitlord about to fall. No death coil, and he gets it too late. Doesn't have the mana, can't use it. The Pitlord goes down, but more Druids of the Claw are also falling. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability in the inventory. Also, again, pressure against the Alchemist. Time after time getting the nukes in against the frontliner. Now the DK low though still has the potion though, and we're having double upgrades here with the Keeper hitting level 5 and the Alchemist hitting level 4. Fight by no means over. 5 on the Death Knight now. Here comes the Nova. Gets the coil in. Tries to drop the Alchemist, who by now also has the Orb of Venom in the inventory, and he gets the kill. Alchemist down and ReseT down to 53 supply. The entire time, one entangle after another, trying to drop unit after unit. The Dryads, magic immune as they are, completely resistant against all of that damage output from the two undead heroes. But both of them are low, and here comes the town portal, as he just does not want to fight any longer and can't run away from the Dryads. So another big battle between the two of them. ReseT back up to 58 supply against the 63 that we're seeing for the blue player, for the undead. More worms coming in, frost worms being built, and just look at those resources. He definitely has the money to go to town here in the late game, but he also needs more items on the Death Knight. And statues wouldn't really hurt him either, because he needs not only his mana to be replenished, more so than anything else, he really needs to make sure that he has some hit points. One potion of healing is going to help with that, at least to an extent, but then again, statues are great for a reason, and he definitely should use a few of them. So we have a couple of items bought, Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, Scroll of Healing 2, as I said before, single shop on the map, so huge for him to actually buy all of those now. And ReseT still going for Chimeras. Having a couple of Chimeras. Ooh, what is that hunt doing up there? I am pretty sure he does not know that that Huntress is up here. I am pretty sure he doesn't have an idea, like no clue whatsoever. We're going to double check that later. Oh, actually, okay, apparently he knows. Gets the Huntress out. But now, let's see how this is going to play out here. Because now we're having the Undead again with the aggression. Pitlord or no Pitlord. Pitlord just came back, but he's nowhere near this. Expansion attacked. Here come the statues. But again, the slow from the Dry Poison. The turnaround against the Bears. Immediately Raw coming through. Dispel from the Destroyer is absolutely crucial now. And of course happening as well against the Treants here. So important and so devastating. Free experience. The Lich about it, level 5. That's going to be the level 3 Nova here. But the pressure against the Death Knight. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability still in the inventory. Has to use it. Tries to turn around here. More entangles coming through, but he has all that magic damage, and the Pitlord is now in play too. Needs to skill. He doesn't skill the aura. Doesn't skill the aura on level 3 and TP's out instead. Now, the Pooper definitely has a couple. He needs a bit quicker with this. Having like the difference between a level 3 aura damage Nova and a level 2 is huge if you're trying to burn something down here. And he still didn't skill the additional level for it. So definitely a little bit overwhelmed here in those situations. Had to TP out again. But it's the continuous pressure that we're seeing from him. ReseT is put in a spot where he is continuously reacting. He's adding more Hippogriffs right now because he realizes that he has to deal with a Destroyer army. It's not only that Frostworm that we are continuously seeing here, just wrecking through those heavy armored Destroyers that dispel all the Treants, immediately dispel Roar, and of course also then with the help of the Orb of Corruption that they have, so just like take down the entire front line within seconds. So he's getting Hippogriffs to deal with that, and still has some Chimeras as well. 75 supply for the Undead player, whereas we are seeing on the Nightelf side 78, so very, very similar. But the aggression, like the entire initiative on the map is so far in this game taken by the Undead, who's just moving in over and over with now Scrolls of Healing, Potion of Mana, a Death Knight that is nearly on full HP. Taking a quick look at the Lich, we're still seeing him with all the damage output, a Scroll of Protection also for the Pitlord, still on level 2, and here comes a quick snipe, no chance, bam bam, to the face, and down goes the first Druid, and that's a massive problem. But again, the Pitlord, entangled, here's the Howl, Good web here, moving away, kiting slowly, but has to continuously coil that Pitlord. Pitlord is just too slow. Massive problem for him right now. But they kite away from those hippogriffs. And the hippogriffs minus 16 damage now, thanks to the Howl. That's the big value that you get from the Pitlord in particular. Cleave, of course, can be great if you have damage items too. But if you're going up against such a late game army, then having that damage reduction as a tool in your belt is fantastic. And again, the attempt, Coil Nova, and another one down. Sniped the entire time. Staff of Preservation couldn't even be used here. But Pitlord at the front is in trouble. Gets the coil, doesn't have level 3 yet, but level 3 is going to be big. Double Wyrm right now. Frost Wyrm's in play. 72 supply for the Nightelf. On the Undead side, we're having 78. And he still has those items. Let's look over to the Keeper. Keeper has nothing. Absolutely nothing. Only a healing potion for the Alchemist too. Massive problem right now for ReseT. He doesn't have a potion of lesser invulnerability. And to be frank, that Keeper, 700 hit points, that's not enough. If you start getting coiled by your opponent, if those level 3 coils and Novas are starting to hit you, you are going to be dropping really quickly. Level 6 for him would be great, but here comes again the immediate focus, and that's exactly what we've been talking about. The Keeper about to go down, barely healed, gets the potion of healing from the Alchemist, but now focused and slowed and falls. Level 3 for the Pitlord. Death Knight also starting to get focused fire again, low, and the Lich attacked as well. The Chimeras are doing solid work here. Coil Nova again against the Alchemist this time. He has a lot more hit points than a Keeper and is trying to use it, but once more the Town Portal is being used here. Barely getting out. Both of the Frost Wyrms incredibly low at that moment in time. That one having a little bit of a death wish, to be honest with you. But yeah, getting reined in here by his owner. It's like, dude, I can still drop them. It's like, no, dude, you can't. It was a great Town Portal, to be honest. At first I was a little bit skeptical, thinking, hey, he always just has to TP out because the Death Knight is under pressure. But then the 2 Wyrms, of course, making it absolute worth it. He uses the TP there. He gets the Keeper too, but it's still a massive investment in gold that he had to, yeah, just make throughout the game in order to get out of these fights. And we've seen this a lot right now. TP after TP being used to get out of harm's way. He's down to 63 supply too, adding another 2 crypts here. Lost quite a few structures earlier to the aggression. 78 now supply for ReseT. And those gold mines are, by the way, depleting. The ones in the main base are, of course, already gone, like both of them. But if you're looking down here, similar picture now once again. Now, interestingly enough, when you look over to that Keeper, he finally has bought that potion of lesser invulnerability. And it's, again, that problem that on this small map you have a single shop and not more than that. The one thing that I personally find still a little bit surprising, to tell you the truth, is that even with a surplus of Acolytes, we don't actually see the Sacrificial Pit being utilized for Shades. We have no Shades in the game. And it is a small map, and we are very much so in the late game right now, so there's very little that can actually happen. But having that extra vision is something that I honestly expect the Undead player to rely upon here. Another quick move towards the shop, sending actually the Destroyer in a little bit earlier. I really like that move, because the Destroyer can scout pretty much scot-free. The worst thing that can happen to the Destroyer is that the Dryads slow it down and then you coil it. But if you get caught with the Death Knight and the Entangle hits you, then you are in risk of losing that hero, or you have to drop a couple of items in order to make him survive. So it was really smart, sending the Destroyer in a little bit farther, getting the vision, but again, a Shade in this case would also have been a fantastic tool for him. And he didn't really have that, he didn't use that in any way. So Death Knight now on level 5, closing in on 6, Lich on 5 as well. That Alchemist is still on 4, but I'm especially watching the Keeper. This is also huge now. Using the Wisps and trying to go for the Detonate during those fights is going to potentially turn the entire tide of the fight. If you can drain those heroes of mana, that would be the play. But for now, it's all about the Pitlord as well. And again, we've been talking about this in the previous fight already. If you have the Howl of Fear coming through and all the damage reduction that can be in late game fights, the absolute difference between winning or losing a game. And trying to get that Pitlord now even higher is, of course, a huge fun. Ring of Regeneration is there. Triple Frost Wyrm, 2-0 upgrades, by the way, for them. When you're looking towards those Fiends, not investing anything into armor, it's all about the attack. Just trying to double check a little bit, get vision here. Units everywhere, wisps on the ground as well. Trying to see what's happening, still mining. And in the army we're seeing, for the time being, hippogriffs, a lot of them. Having one Chimera in play, and of course the ground forces. Trying to get rid of those frostworms and destroyers. If you can get those out of the way, and you reign supreme in the skies, it also will help your ground army, because those Druids of the Claw, they get not only taken out by that Coil Nova combo that continuously just rips through the front line, but it's also a big problem dealing with those 2-3 Frostworms that are always within that army. Because this is really the moment where you have to make something happen here. If the Chimeras, for example, can focus onto the statues, that's great for you as well. Double checking with the Magic Immune units here, but look at those items. Double Scroll of Healing. Needs to pass one over though. Like, would really be good for him to pass one over to the Pitlord, because cooldowns are still a thing and it applies to both. So kind of need to play around that. Alright, let's see how that's going to be working out for them. I mean, for the time being, we're actually seeing both of them just a little bit unwilling to commit to a battle just yet. 89 supply for the Nightelf. High upkeep for him. I mean, there's very little that you lose. You have only 1,000 gold left, so it's all about that maxed out army. We're going to see probably one, maybe two big fights to decide the game here, but the Death Knight really... Death Knight needs to kite. So basically, like, the big idea for the fight here from the Undead perspective is that you need to make sure that you're dealing with those hippogriffs so that you don't lose your air units. It has fiends, and he needs to try and just, like, go into the battle, use the cooldown on the web, like, just web the units, web a couple of hippogriffs, then move away, kite against the webbed hippogriffs, get the second round in, and then start attacking. So that you have a minimum amount of units that you're going up against, and that you can try and take those hippogriffs down. Once they are gone, your frostworms and destroyers will just rip through everything. And that's the basic idea of how he has to approach this. Having a few more items bought, like Potion of Healing on both of the Undead heroes right now. 88 supply for ReseT, and at the same time, we're also having 80 supply for the Undead player. So it's only the Undead player who has so far not really committed to high upkeep, but this is supposed to be like a 100 supply army pretty soon. In terms of upgrades, 2 upgrades now for the entire Nightelf army. Undead again on 2-0, and still busy at the shop. Jeez, like, he's buying everything. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability now. Still both of the Scrolls of Healing. This hero, how many Frostworms do we have? That's 4? Yeah, 4 Frostworms. Yeah, he's going for it right now. It's a massive army. I'm just happy to see Frostworms again, to be honest with you. For me personally, it's just like the most epic unit within WarCraft 3. Maybe outside of the Infernal as a summoning, like raining Infernals down the sky is always just absolutely amazing. But having Frostworms, it just feels awesome. Must be a little bit like having now the Chimeras here for the Nightelf from his perspective, but again, it's just like a dance. If you can get that Alchemist on level 5, that would also be absolutely fantastic. But it's very unlikely to happen outside of the fight. Everything has been crapped already. There's one little spot left on the map, and this is the only creep spot that is still in the game here. Another Dryad coming in. And right now, more items. Very likely. He's getting another potion.
Gold mine has collapsed.
And the gold mines are empty. Acolytes in the fight as well. This is gonna be it. This has to be it. Massive, massive fight coming up. And the Pitlord nearly on level 4. But the item advantage is insane that we're seeing for him right now. He has so much stuff. How many? Two Staffs of Preservation. But the scrolls. I mean, let's double check that real quickly. Scrolls of Healing. Yes, 3 Scrolls of Healing. Scroll of Protection being used, and there we go. The Pitlord at the front, blocked again. Web already being used, and the Hippogriffs are falling one after another. The focus again as both of the Chimeras are going into the backline, trying to take down all of the statues and ripping through that sustain. The Pitlord goes down. He gets the initial kill. Fantastic kill here for him. The Deathland about to hit level 6, but the Alchemist already on level 5, trying to go straight in once again with the Acid Bomb, trying to drop them. Webs are being used here, and the focus onto the first Chimera. Very little that ReseT can do, not staffing it out. Cooldown already been used a little bit earlier, but all of the Frostworms are still alive. A ReseT trying to go in level 6 for the Death Knight here. Still a couple of scrolls in the inventory, and the hippogriffs are falling one after another. The hippos are going down. 58 supply against 64 right now in the fight. ReseT still a little bit farther ahead as the Lich hits level 6, tries to go in again. The staff on the Alchemist in the last second possible. Great save here by ReseT, trying to get the quick kill against the Death Knight, and he gets it. The DK is down. Nache is at 48 supply and he's losing everything here. Here comes the quick tranquility. The Keeper with a potion. If the Keeper falls, it has to be over. This is a massive nuke attempt now, once again with a level 6 Death Knight and a level 6 Lich. Keeper with the tranquility keeps everything alive for the time being, but the Force Worms are there shredding through the ground army. The Keeper about to fall, drops, and that has to be game. 7 Lich already, and only the Alchemist left on the side of the Night Elf, and that one nearly down. Even the reanimated Dad being used by the Death Knight here. 23 supply against 33, and that Alchemist falls as well. That is game GG called as ReseT leaves the game and the Undead takes the victory.